What's
What's up,
going on,
peeps? What's up,
everybody?
peeps? I was just banging in the background, getting my Friday morning on. It is the weekend. The weekend's here. It's
Oh
crazy in
my
New
God.
Jersey. It was like 70s and 80s, and then I woke up this morning. It's like 54. I was like, "Come on, it's the weekend." This weekend. Can a brother get 80 on a Friday or Saturday? What's up?
No, not yet. Not yet. They said,
Okay. Yeah,
but yes, it was nice. But like today's not too crazy. I opened up the window so the kitten could get some fresh air because it's not
oh,
just me, right? So I'm like, okay, let me let another living being
yeah,
in this
yeah.
house
Man, Shadow get some air. You know
get
what I
some
mean?
air because he can't go outside. He not going outside. We're not doing
Yes,
that.
yes. Let Shadow get some air up in this piece.
Yes. What's going on, Mr. Robert Berry?
I'm very up like the
uh,
sunshine this morning.
yes, yes. Drop where you guys are coming from. And while y'all doing that, we want to catch you up on a couple of things. Do what they call that, the little housekeeping. We're gonna do a little
Yeah, yeah.
housekeeping
We're gonna
today.
do a little housekeeping thing for you
And
today.
first things first, I want to say, Mr. Vulnerability, tell the
What's up?
folks about your toolkit. Let the folks know
Man,
about your toolkit.
we talking about a toolkit, the guide to C-suite leadership. Rob talking about where Shadow. Shadow hanging out, man. He in the green room eating shrimp. This is a 4-step transformation, y'all, that we go through in a 4-week intensive. Take a step a week and we just dive right in. The steps is there for you. We work on some things that allow you to be the greater leader. This is the sweet. I know it's a guide to C-suite leadership, but it's for all leaders that are even looking towards that. Even looking towards that, their trajectory is that they're trying to climb the ladder. We're going to give you these vulnerability tools so you can go forward, embrace what you need to do, and be that leader that other leaders want to follow. So every month, we give in the first Monday of the month, we have this class going, and this training is on fire. I just see a lot of people just making transformations. I'm just loving it, and I'm loving how people are embracing themselves. So go get it. Look there, carlshawnwatkins.com/vulnerability. The Vulnerability Toolkit is a straight guide to C-suite leadership because that's what I'm targeting. But it's all for leaders. Everybody can take advantage of this. Everybody.
Yes, yes, yes. And make sure that when you're doing this, you get into it. Don't just sit
Yes,
there
I
and don't
need
take action.
interactive. I need interactive.
Yes,
You see me
yes.
on this show. You see me in these LinkedIn streets. We do interactive work. You got to put the work in. Can't just show up and do that. And I mean, some of you may have to bring your box of tissues. We may touch on stuff. Also, want to say it's all confidential. We don't get on this in a Zoom setting, so we don't get on there and just blab your business. And I put you out on these LinkedIn streets. It's confidential. We don't play like that. We know some people are moving towards some great things in their lives. They have some obstacles that are sticking them in a place where they know they
Hmm.
need to get better, but not pretty much sure how to do that, not
Right.
empowered enough to even do that. So this is what we walk you through, and you gain that confidence. So you could be on the screen like me, Mr. AKA Motivability. You know what I mean?
What? And with that being on these internet streets, make sure that you catch the next or follow Transform Clicks to Profit first of all, and then make sure that you are actually adding yourself so you can get the next part of the series that I'm doing, which is the top 3 things you need on your website. Where I'm going to break down just 3 basic things so you're not overwhelmed, get you started, get you up and running. Because as the series continues and it goes on, we're going to dive deep into like how you see us do here live. We're going to dive deep and answer a lot of questions that I've been getting. Because sometimes you can't answer everything on one show. So I'm going to
Yes.
break that up and really answer some of these questions. So drop those questions, send that out to me. Transformclickstoprofit.com/LinkedIn. Follow the LinkedIn page there. And then, of course, make sure that you stay tuned with us so you can always be a part of the credible vulnerability moment. So let's get into today. Today, we're
Yeah.
talking about building powerful connections through your vulnerable content. We talked
Yeah.
about creating the content and using your vulnerability because we explored that already. So,
Hmm.
using everything in the experiences that you've been going through to really create content that makes an impact. So that's what we're talking about today is once you got that content, how are you creating those connections through it? So some parts of creators we use video, others use audio, others use a combination. Some use their writing skills, their blog, because maybe, they're just not ready or they just want no parts of video or audio. So they'll write, and others will create through graphics. So it's really finding what medium, what aspect of creation do you feel comfortable with? Because there has to be a role that you take. You can't just sit on the sidelines and do nothing. Even if you hire other people, the information still has to flow through you. The content
Mhm.
still has to flow through you. So what's the way that you're going to start building those connections? And what's some of the ways that you've come up with? And then we'll go into the myth buster for
Yeah,
today.
building just what it is. You build those powerful contents through vulnerable content. That's pretty much how I do it. The vulnerable content opens up the door. It gives people an opportunity to see you more than what you're selling. It gives people an opportunity to see you more than just a business. We
Hmm.
see businesses all the time, but there has to be intimate relationships for us to come across that bread to give to that business, right? Some of us may use it in the form of coupons, rewards. I mean, companies offer things to have an intimate relationship with you. It's not so much as just Google following you for your buying power or trying to see the things that you buy. But companies target individuals, and through that targeting, they sending out vulnerable content. They're exposing things to you
Hmm.
from them. And that's building the relationship. That's making their connections stronger. That's making you their favorite brand. And you have to do that same thing when you have your content. You have to build that vulnerable content with people where they can see on the intimate part, yo, this guy going through, or this through this woman going through some things that I understand. So I can have a relationship with her. It don't have to be all the time where you out and about, but they can read your stuff. They can see your stuff. They can connect with it. It resonates. So the vulnerable content is key.
Yes, and I agree with that. And with that, we go into the myth buster of there's
Ooh, I
only
love the
one type of
Mythbusters.
content that connects with your community, and there's only one way to do that. Now, I know that's not true because there's so many. I already jumped into a little bit about that. There's so many ways to create content, and there's so many ways to connect with people. And you don't have only one way. Even if you're writing blogs, there's not only one way to write a blog. There's not only one way to create video. There's not only one way to do a podcast or audio. So you want to make sure that you don't fall into that trap of following gurus or following people who have courses and things like that. And if they're really dogmatic about a process, you have to be wary about that. You have to be real careful. Their process may work for them or for certain people, because you have to think, how do you process information, first of all?
Yeah.
Second, how do you actually work? Maybe you work best in the morning. Some people tell you, everybody does things, or the best productive people do everything at before 8 o'clock. That's a lie, because most people, they're night owls. So most people are way more productive in the middle of the night, midnight, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then they go to bed at 8. So you have to be careful of the stigmas that we fall into. Those are traps for us. And those are also barriers. What do you say?
I say the same thing. It's just simply that there's more than one type. I know when I first came in, right? Everybody was like, and we may confuse this with this, so I'll highlight it. A lot of people say, get that niche, get that niche, get that niche, right? And I formulated this niche of this to that. And you know what? When I first started talking about vulnerability, this to that never responded to anything I talked about. They never
Mm,
engaged in any post I made. All of those people that I was niching to, from hearing others talk about my content and how it should be, I niched myself right on out the conversation because they was not talking to me. So I started getting people who wasn't even in the niche that I created. They started creating a niche for me, and then I started writing for them. So a lot of times
mhm,
when we writing this content, we get caught in these communities, and we get caught in so many what I call out of zone geniuses who know so much about what you're doing that they want to progress you. You have to feel that thing for yourself, and then being vulnerable, that opens the door where you can get connections. You can get your niche by just being vulnerable about who you are as a person. You will attract those people through that content, and you will start building your own community. You won't have to join none. You don't have to be a part of none. Community will come to you once you open up. So there's way more ways than opening up than just one way of doing that content.
Right. And I see Rob and Rob say he's a morning person, and Carla said, "Why do morning people get to define things?" And I agree, because it's
Get up
weird, right?
early.
So
It's early in the morning. My dad told me the early bird get the worm. Now,
I heard that all the time too.
He's from Mississippi, and I said it must be something to that because most early people down south they was already had a lot of things done while some people were sleeping. So
But
it's something to it.
let's think about the, because we about to go into a little historical fact about these things, right? These little sayings,
Is
because
this
my
is this
family,
Wikipedia or this is your
we
fact?
could do, no, we could do whatever we want to do, right? So this is observation. My little psychology side about to come out. We gonna about to observe today.
Oh my God! I
So a
already
lot of
got
time,
school. I already got enough school. Oh my God!
a lot of time, no, but it's a good it's a good discussion. So a
Okay, I
lot of
feel you. I
times
feel you.
with me, right? I was always told, don't let the sun catch you sleeping. And my smart mouth in my head was like, why not?
Mhm, mhm,
Right?
mhm.
So a lot of times you also have to consider who's telling you these things. We hear a lot of that conversation coming from people had no choice but to get up in the morning because there were things they had to get done. Why? Because if they were doing sharecropping, you have to get up early.
Oh my
You
God!
can't be in the middle of the sun. You can't do that. Especially in the South. It's hot as hell in the middle of the day. By
Oh
the
my
time noon
God!
come, people want to be done with the heavy work, right? So
Help
a lot of
us.
times that's where that comes from. Even in the industrial world, that's where a lot of that comes from. You have to get up early, go get that fish out there so you can bring it back to the market. People getting up and starting their day. So by the time midday comes, everybody's where they really want to be. So that's where I take that from, which is
Okay.
cool. And that's
Okay.
cool. That's cool for people who want to do that.
Yeah, I'm like
But
Rob. Charlene just our head.
I'm just saying, if you're in business, you don't have to feel like, oh my God, I'm not a morning person. I have to force myself to be a morning person. No, you have to force yourself to listen to you, listen to your body and your mind, and see, when am I productive? Maybe you're productive in the middle of the day. Maybe you're more productive at night. You have to find your zone, because the more you're forcing yourself to get up and you're just not into it. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. If your mind is just not functioning high in the morning, what you getting up in the morning for to do work? You should be getting up to say, okay, I'm not functioning enough to do work, but maybe I can do meditation, maybe I can do something else. But it's not going to be the heavy load of me being productive to create content. So that's where this is coming from. If you want to be productive to create content that will resonate with people, you need to be in a zone of your genius. And if your genius is in the middle of the night, your genius is at 2 in the morning, so be it. But don't fall for the trap of, if it works for them, it must work for you. That's not true. Because if I wake up in the morning, I wake up every day 4 o'clock in the morning. Even if I go to bed at 2 in the morning, I'm up at 4. Why? I have no clue. My body just don't listen to me. It does what it wants. However, I will be up, but I started telling myself I don't have to jump out of my bed. Because who am I jumping on my bed for like that? At 4 in the morning, 2 in the morning? No. Let me go back, lay down. At least my mind is up, but okay, my body can at least lay down, rest a bit. And by the time I'm getting up, I'm not feeling groggy. I'm not feeling like I'm dragging. Because that's what I also noticed too. That was part of my burnout. My burnout was I kept getting up and moving, moving, moving. That doesn't have to be it. So it's also, make sure that you're paying attention. It's not a bad thing. It's okay.
So we got your tirade.
I'm just saying. I'm
We
just
got your
saying.
it's a few things in there that I agree with, and that's definitely find your zone. Uh, and I kind of get your historical lesson that you've given us on Black History in March. I mean in April.
It's everybody's history.
No,
Anybody
but
who's in
listen.
a place of their your lineage and your culture comes from a place where, because everybody's culture had some type of farming or something in that
No, I mean
aspect.
I take it a little bit further than that because I take it
Hmm.
that's something the parents told me from both of them was born in Mississippi, so that was definitely ingrained in their culture. And I'll tell you, both of them was not farmers. They parents were, but they
Right.
didn't do that. But in the essence of what I'm talking about here, to pull it to today, you definitely want to stay in your zone of genius. These are highlight a couple of the points that I agree with you with on writing the content. Whatever's most effective for you, you have to do that. But there are also processes in place such as animation, scheduling, and those kind of things, so you could be in the framework of everyone else. Because even though you want to be in your zone and you want to be at your power spot, you also want to hit the bombs when those are available for to see your zone of genius. So there has to be a marrying of maybe I don't get up at 4 a.m. every morning with no creative juices flowing, but I've been writing from 12 to 2 a.m. in the morning. All right, let me hit the automation switch. Let me schedule those out so those early birds can get my content and my content could be reaching those who I don't want to reach because I'm not in that spot. And that's the only thing that I say with the changing of that, because I definitely agree with you. So I write all the time. I don't have a time.
Hmm.
I don't have a time. I'm writing in between shows. I'm writing when we on shows. If I'm not putting in comments, I'm always writing because thoughts is always coming. So I'm just that kind of person that write that all down. Some people, my daughter, I said it before, morning person, don't holler at her in the morning. She had to be at work at 7, 5 to whatever time she get up. She grunting. I don't know what she say when she get into the job, but she grunting from the house. She good morning. She I don't know what that is, and she don't even. She's not even a coffee type. Some people are just not generally that kind of person. But I think in the morning, and what I really fixed, and what I really got, the military really got a lot of that. But what I really figured in that is that getting up in the morning gives me a schedule of accomplishment. And that's not for everybody because some people, I can stay up late and I can get up early. Like you, I go to bed a lot of times. I don't go to bed till after midnight, but I'll pop right up out, 4:30, 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. I don't all the time get straight out to bed, but my body is just clicking like that. And I don't know why either. Old people, we need our rest. But in essence of that, you have to have those times where the content is flowing from you. You're in a place where people can get it. And not only that, you're in a place where it's not a burnout situation for you. Because some people just run with the get up, to get up, to get up, to get up. And
Hmm.
it's a burnout thing. And you're not even productive, not let alone for the clients you're trying to service. You're not even productive health wise or body wise or feeling like for your own self. So yes, I do definitely agree with that. I just love when she just goes take me on history lesson with the philosophy, y'all. I'm learning all the time, y'all.
But see, I'm just saying about that. But I
Yeah.
think what you're doing too is you're marrying two things because we're gonna talk about
Yes.
that in part four. We're talking part four is about sharing it and getting it out to the world. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yes.
Automate that part, but you don't got to
Yeah.
be awake for that. That's okay.
Absolutely.
But for the creation part, which is for today, be in
Am
your
I moving
zone.
up to the parts? Man,
Yeah,
uh,
you going, you jumping ahead, which I don't mind. But I'm just saying those are two different things, right?
y'all better
Getting
come
it
back
out
for
to the
part
world,
four.
getting it out to the world is one thing, but creating it, that's where your juices are gonna flow. You don't
Yes,
need to
yes,
be awake to share it to the world. You're right, you can automate that. But
yes.
when you creating it and you want to connect to people, you want to be able to create something that's meaningful, something that's
Absolutely.
powerful. And that's where your zone of genius is valuable for you. So part of that is we're going to jump into building those powerful connections through vulnerable content, facing your fears. Just start
Mhm.
to create it because a lot of times our fears, we allow those to hold us back from just creating it. Just saying, you know what? Let me go figure out what's going on. Let me go just write something. Just get something there so people can see and I can understand what's resonating, what's going to allow people to say yes, I like that, or no, I'm not even commenting, or I didn't even react, I'm not even looking because this looked weird, let me go past it. So it's like it allows you to figure out what's good, and also what do you enjoy creating. That's another thing too. It allows you to do that. So face your fears. Don't allow yourself to say, oh, I'm nervous, I maybe my voice is weird, and all of that I've heard. I want to speak for Carl. I heard that in my own head. But I just jumped on it and had an amazing friend like Carl who was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And got me on video. So I say just face it, figure it out as you go along. What do you say? What do you
It,
think,
it, it
Carl?
has to be about it has to be about action. A lot of times we put plans into action. I mean, we put plans on paper. We write stuff down. That That's part of my visual. I write thing. I think we had Robert on yesterday, and he talked about he's a visual learner. That's the reason why I write in notebooks. I have to see that idea come from here to my pen, and then it makes an impression in me. And then visualizing that, I can see that an outline is made. Kind of like I don't know what they really call it as far as my learning, but kind of like I just call it crazy. That's how I used to call it in school because I used to learn things like people didn't, and I used to think it was weird. But now I know that it's a talent and a gift today, the way that I pick up things and learn things. So it's not as bad. But it can put you in a state of being fearful about doing things because if you get scared and you get tied up into that second thought. Another thing grandma used to say, your first mind, follow your first mind, right? She's like, more than likely, your first mind is always right. And I used to like, you know about my first mind. First mind, all right. But when I go back and play the tape, a lot of times if I did what was my first mind, I would have made out okay. And that's the
Mm,
same thing with starting and facing your fears. Once you face those fears, you'll be surprised how they're really not a fear. I talked about it before. Fear is just a shadow, right? Your shadow is
mhm,
there, but it's not. Your shadow is just an impression. It's illumination of you through the light, right? So same
yeah.
thing with fears. Now I'm not saying fears aren't real because I know some people got some fears that they just scared of a lot of things. But facing those fears give you way more confidence than that fear having you in a cage. So just get out there, just start it. If you don't know what to create, create. Just start. When you start, things will come. When you start, mind will roll. When you start, ideas will flourish. But as long as you sit there and hold it, I know a lot of people sitting on books but they ain't published them. For the simple fact, they talk, I don't know where to start. Somebody made a post about that yesterday. I can't remember who it was. And they said that the person told them, all these posts that you writing, this inspiration, when your book coming out? They told me, I'm not about to start no book. I'm too much doing this, which may be the case. But you're sitting on so much information that people need to leave. And you're not saying
Mhm.
because you don't know where to start. That was her comment. She said, I don't know where to start. I put in there, I didn't even know the person. It was a third party connection. I put in there, just start. That's all I left as a comment. And sometimes we just need that push. You know, birds do it, mamas do it. Go check out the wild. You ain't staying in that crib for a long time with mama in the wild. She pushing you
Mhm.
out.
Yes, and with that, even when you see people posting tons and tons and tons of content, and then they're not putting it into a book, that's how a lot of books get started, through
Yes.
blog posts,
Just comment.
through social media captions. They
Mm-hmm.
gather all that information, and for them, maybe they don't know how to
Format it.
organize it for a book, so that's why they hire people who help them write the book
Yeah.
and help them they hire the editors, they hire people like that to help get their thoughts
Notebooks.
formulated.
Don't be like me with all
Yeah.
these notebooks sitting up here at your desk and ain't nobody coming to it. 'Cause I got mad notebooks over here, y'all. Tell you. Hmm.
And that's where the editors and all of those people come in to
Yes.
help put the thoughts together and make it a book. So never stop yourself from that and put the roadblocks in front of yourself by saying that, because a lot of times it's really just maybe you just need someone on the
That's
outside
it.
to
That's
help
it.
you, because you already have the content, you already been creating it. And I wanted to jump on a question. What
Yeah.
ways do you get into that content writing zone? Shannon struggles with that. For
Yeah.
me, I get into it when something sparks my mind. Like if there's a thought that I'm like, yo, I should write about this, and then maybe I forget because something come up and I forget. But I'll say it'll come back again to me. This is what works with me. This is when I know this is something I should write about, because I don't write about every thought in my head, but this is why. So when it comes back again, that's when I'm like, okay, I really need to sit down and write this, because this hit me twice. So that's why I'm like, okay, this is something I really need to write. And then when I write about it and I talk about it, that's when I see other people were resonating, and they started to comment, oh yeah, I was thinking about that. Da, 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 da. So then that's just a confirmation that what kept coming back to me was right. So that's how I get into my zone. It's never it's literally something that just keeps coming to my mind, and I'm like, "Okay, this feels right. This feels like something that I need to write." If I just sit down and say, "Oh, what do I want to write about today?" Nothing's coming. Nothing's happening. It's not going to work. But if I already have the idea sparking in my mind, and it's really saying, it won't leave, this is something I need to write about.
Yeah. And it's I I didn't know I had a writing. I didn't know that I had a writing gift until I started talking to people, because I couldn't understand when people say writing blocks. Right? I couldn't understand that, and me not knowing that people had that. Because sometimes when you're in the closet of doing things, you think everybody could have some kind of idea about what you're doing, right? And I tend to do that a lot with those kind of things. And I started talking to some people, and I was like, yeah, I just write, because I had my very first client told me that it took them 2 hours to write a post. Right, this was my first like client, like,
Mhm.
and I was like, well, maybe you need more than me. Because if it took you 2 hours to write a post, this wasn't me being insensitive. This was me really not grabbing how writing affects some people. And this is why I say it's a gift that I can write, because I don't have a block problem. And people say, she said that to me, and I was like, wow, I was really taken aback. I was like, how does it take you 2 hours to do a LinkedIn post? Like, it's so much stuff going on that I could, and I was insensitive with that. And I had to come back and apologize after I really, really thought about that, because I was like, I didn't mean that the way that that sounded. And I said I had to do some introspective and look at my own self and say, okay, well, there's people out there that's not having those capabilities, right? So how will you manifest that to help others? And then ask the Shannon question. When I start looking at things I write, now, what is that writing? We have this writing thing that has to be complete sentences, formats, it have to be punctuations. I don't always write like that. I write thoughts, and I go back and see that thought in my notebook, and I grab that thought with a story, or I compare it or write it with a story that I've lived, experienced, something I've went through. So that's really what sparks my writing, because I can see birds in the sky, and it's just one of those crazy kind of things. But in the essence of you being a writer and contact and writing your content, the blocks do come if that's not your thing. But jot down little things. That's why I say, to me, a notebook is so important, because that can spark a whole story. If you write down, you see somebody's post and they say, "Oh, yo, it's beautiful outside." Or I see a lot of people make posts of videos with just nature, and things will come to your mind in the essence that write that down, like that bird was flying, and just write down things like that. And this is just only me now. I write stuff like that, and soon that becomes a story for me. Soon that becomes a post for me. Soon that relates to something that I know. And then once I start writing about stuff I know, content comes. Write about what you know, because everybody knows something. Write about what you know first. Build the intimate, vulnerable content first. Then start writing about your specialty, your business, your offers, those
Mhm.
kind of things. And the content will roll like that. I hope I answered some parts of that question for
Yeah, so and I think once you get into the mindset of writing and just getting something down or
you.
getting a thought down, because Shannon even said, she started doing video and realized it's not as bad as she thought, and she might prefer video over writing. Now, with that concept, don't forget you can take that video and get transcription, and that's the writing piece of the thoughts that you share through that video. So the
That part.
video gives you a couple of different avenues to take. Not only do you have the visual and audio together, but you can strip the audio and have that separately. And then you can have your words written out for you through automation, have someone clean it up if that's not something that you want to do at long term. Those are different avenues. So you always have those different things to do with video. So yes, I'm glad that you jumped in and did that, Shannon. And I would
Absolutely.
say I would say that goes into once you get going, once you face that fear, you start to gain confidence. Now you fine tuning as you go. You saw us when we
Mhm.
started, our lights were off, the cameras, we were working what we had, right? And then slowly we started investing in little things and doing little things, and now you see what you have today. Yeah, that's exactly how it started. So now you see what we have today, but we still know there's a lot more we can do. But we're not like jumping to do everything at once. We're just gonna fine tune as we go, fine tune as we go. So that's what you want to do. As you started creating your content, you find your mojo, fine tune what you're doing. If you find that blogging is your place, you love it, now start adding little specialties to that skill set. Fine tune how you do it. Fine tune your workflow. If you see that you're doing audio, because I know Rob, he kicks out like 14 audios a day.
14,000
So
audios.
so he found a process that worked, and he ran with it, right? So
Yeah,
if you can find things like that and you're fine tuning as you go, you have no problems. It doesn't become such an overwhelming task. So that's the whole point of that. You don't want it to be overwhelming.
yeah, you really don't want it to be overwhelming. Good morning, Margot. Thank you for tuning in. You overwhelming, and you want to be. And I tell you from the door, you have to find that pusher. I'm a pusher,
Yes.
so I didn't have to find one. I'm a pusher. I'm gonna push the envelope. I'm gonna push you. I mean, I got coach written all over me, though. That's nothing I wanted to attach myself to because I wanted my actions to speak for me, not a title. And in the essence of that, I'm a pusher. So I'm gonna put you in a place. I'm gonna put you in a realm. I'm gonna put you in a spot where you're gonna have to perform. And I don't do it in the case of where I'm trying to break. I'm trying to make. And that's the kind of place that I put Charlene in. Not that I added anything to Charlene. Charlene's already smart, educated, articulate. She had all of those values, all of those things, all of those criteria. But sometimes you need a push, just like the mother knows when the baby's ready to fly. The baby don't have that confidence, but the mother knows, right? So the mother pushes the bird out the nest. And 9 times, maybe 9.5 out of 10, the bird don't hit the ground because the bird realizes that I got the power to do the things I need to do. And that's what we need to do. If you're not a creative writer, find someone that push you. Fine, it don't necessarily have to be a coach because everybody want to hop on the coach bandwagon. It could be just a colleague. It could be a protege. It could be someone that you see that could be a mentor. Have someone that's pushing that, driving you because it is there. All of us are there. All of us have it. You just have to find someone to unlock it. Not all of us are fortunate enough to find our own keys. Someone else have them and pushing it out. Push me and I'm going to push you back. Okay,
Oh
Rob.
Lord.
Rock, anybody push you. You can't reach you with them 12,000 shows, 15,000 video. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, find a pusher. Find someone that's going to elevate you. Stop staying in those same circles of people that are continually where you are. If somebody got 5,000 followers and you got 5,000, find somebody with 25,000. See what they're doing to push themselves. It's the simple math to me. Find someone that's
Mhm.
higher than you, right? And then when you find them, chew up the meat and spit out the bones because they don't have everything you need, but they have something that you can get. So those are some of the processes that I use with creating that content and gaining that confidence.
Yes, always like it's about getting into the circles that you would like to be a part of, see how they
Hmm.
roll, see what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and go with what you like. And
Absolutely,
once you get that confidence, then
man.
you
You
want to start keeping things simple. You
Yeah.
don't overcomplicate your goal of action. So if you know, okay, I'm loving this, I want to blog. If you know your zone right now at this moment is to write 10 blogs a month, don't push yourself to write 50 a month next month because that might just overcomplicate what you need to get done. Now you add in 14 different automated tools. You don't know where to go, and now the love of what you like doing is gone because you're too busy in other areas and other avenues that you don't need to be in. So just keep it simple for you. Allow yourself to operate where you can flow freely. If you want to automate more, then find somebody to help you automate so they can focus on the automation and you focus on what you love. That's what I mean by keep it simple for you when you're creating the content. Because every time we create content, we should be creating something that resonates with people. Don't create just to create. That's what we talked about last week. Don't create just to create and you following trends, you doing all kind of hip hop stuff and that's not your zone. If your zone is country, be in country. It's okay. Be in country. What you saying today? Don't overcomplicate by being everywhere where you don't need to be. Be where you feel comfortable for now, push things out that can help you connect because a lot of times we're in zones that we're not connecting with people but we're just there to be there because somebody told us to be there. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just focus, keep things simple for you right now until you can build up. Now you have a team who can help you. Maybe there's somebody else, their specialty is audio. Their specialty,
Mhm.
somebody else's specialty is the writing for you. So you can sit there, kick out videos all day. Now you got two people to help you. One's gonna get the audio together, the other one's gonna get the writing part together. And then they also have specialties in Twitter and everything else. They're gonna formulate all that you have done already through that one video. They're gonna help formulate all of that to build connections for you on the other platforms. So
Yeah,
that's what you want to do.
yeah, that's Kiss has always been a part of my brainness of thinking. When you think about so much and you creative with so much, you have to keep it simple because you cultivate yourself into a box of confusion. Because creators
Hmm.
can tend to do that. You creating so much things, but they're just like all over the place. It's like a spear with no direction. You just blindly throwing stuff out there. So and Charlene talks about this a lot. It really ingratiated this for me in my personal thinking because a lot of times we have thinking of corporate, we have thinking of jobs, employer mentality with our stuff, and we carry that right along even to the entrepreneurship part that we want to do. Even with being better leaders, we carry a lot of the corporate graining over to that realm. So sometimes you have to be your mind have to be redesigned and refunctioning, and you don't overcomplicate it. If you are a fabulous writer, write on that writing part and then get with that community. I think Marco put it in there. Find that community that you can
Hmm.
find someone like I didn't know anything about tech and technology, but I knew I had a lot of stuff that needed to be scaled, put out there.
Right.
I got with Charlene. She has the ability to get your stuff out there through the websites, through those pages, landing pages that she creates, through the content, through your content. She makes it available to others. So sometimes you got to ingratiate yourself with a partner that knows a piece of that you don't know. Because a lot of times, I know for me, for one, I was trying everything. You know why I was trying everything? Because I wanted to know everything. You know why I want to know everything? Because I ain't feel like paying everybody. Right? That's the initial start when we start businesses. But then it overcomplicated things for me because I started getting into realms that I had no experience in, that I had no idea how they worked. And I spent a lot of time needlessly in those arenas, right? So, I ran into people like Rob because we see him like once or twice every 20 years. And he gives us information that he shares with us. And he does those kind of things. So when you're not, I keep it simple and I just don't ever say the last S, which is stupid. But I just keep it simple for the simple fact that I know what I'm good at. And what I'm not good
Hmm.
at, I give to someone else. And now I'm in a comfort zone of giving to someone else because I built myself as who I am, and I'm not worrying about nobody taking it and run with it. I know we run into that problem as well with overcomplicating, but just keep it simple. Get your goal out there. Write stuff down. I can't say that enough. I've been
Hmm.
saying that, but write stuff down if you can't, because you could try to hold a lot up here. You're not that
Hmm.
great. You're not that great to hold it. I'm telling you. Put that stuff on some paper with some contents, and then you can look at it, and then you could always go back and formulate it, even if that idea is not ready yet. That goal is not there yet. You got a format where you can follow. That's why outlines are so tremendous. They really are.
Yes.
Yes.
So with that, I wanted to just wrap this up to say,
Yeah, we've
you
been
want to.
rolling today.
I know we did good today. We
Yeah,
did
yeah.
good.
Got nice comments in there. We appreciate y'all coming by. Absolutely.
I just want to say, you when you're creating powerful content and using videos on social media, you want to amplify it all through that. That's why you're creating powerful content. You want to use your videos, you want to use social media to amplify your message, to amplify your content. And that's how you can really say to yourself, you're in control and not the other way around. The trends are not in control. You're in control. So make sure that you're doing that. Thank you all for coming through, and always remember that this is all for to help you transform your vulnerability into your superpower. We want to
Absolutely.
make sure that you're getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, and we want to make sure that you remember your story is your journey. Any last
Absolutely.
words, sir?
Yo, that is it. Share your story, save a life. I'm all about that. Share your story, save a life. Vulnerable content will help somebody. Definitely.
Yes, yes. So thank you all for coming out today. And we will catch y'all next week when we're talking about how to now get it out there. So, like
Yeah.
my friend said, you can automate. We're going to talk about that. Part four. Next Friday. Thank you all for coming through. We appreciate you always and forever. And thank you so much for making this entire mini series so successful. We appreciate
Yes.
you guys
Have a great
always.
weekend. Happy Easter to those who celebrate
Yes, happy
Easter.
Easter, y'all.
Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there. We'll see you guys next week. Deuces.
Bye.